Hi Team Anastasis. This is a guide to reading your UpGrade reports. Before we get started, just a little bit of background into UpGrade. At Anastasis, we really believe that learning as a human endeavor is too big and beautiful to fit into the reductionary traditional report cards with A through F as the scoring system. And what we really hope to demonstrate through the UpGrade reports is the tools and skills that your kids have developed to engage creative problem solving and which tools and skills they are still developing. UpGrade is an empirical model of data collection, which means we're really going through kind of a scientific method for data collecting. So the first part of UpGrade is really a snapshot of where your kids started the year, and that came from the Let's Go Learn report. So you'll see that as a benchmark assessment in UpGrade. And then the second piece is really the observation over time, and that's really the sit beside that your teachers are doing with students. The root word of assessment, asadir, literally means to sit beside, and that's really the most important part to us about the assessment that we do is we're sitting and we're seeing what your kids are working through and what skills and tools they still may need to develop. And then the last part of that is analysis with the learner. This is where teachers are sitting with your children and your students are really reflecting on their own learning and kind of going through and able to work with the teacher on exactly where they're at and what they believe, where they are in their learning. So we'll get started here. The first thing to notice is that we don't obviously use your traditional ABCD as markers for where students are in learning. Instead, we use this language. So we always start out with novice. This is the learning or skill is brand new. They're just getting started in the learning, or they actually haven't even seen the learning yet. And what we talk to your kids about is we're always a novice when we start something new for the first time or when we haven't seen it. There's nothing shameful about that. There's nothing wrong with that, but it shows us our starting point. Next is practitioner. This is when students really start to understand the learning or skill. They still probably need the guidance and support of a teacher at this stage in their learning. And then at the independent stage, this is really where they're becoming independent with the learning or skill. Not only do they understand the learning, they're actually ready to build on the learning as well. You will also see a benchmark marker, and the benchmark is showing that students are independent with the learning or skill, but the information was pulled from the Let's Go Learn placement assessment, not from observation with the teacher. So the first thing that you'll see is levels A through E, and those are really the standards by developmental level. So level A is roughly 4 to 7 years old, standards that fall in that developmental level. Level B is students 7 to 10 years old and the standards that fall in that age range. Level C is 9 to 11 years old. Level D, 11 to 13, and level E, 12 to 15. And you'll notice there's overlap. There's always overlap kind of in those developmental levels and how kids develop their learning. So the first page of UpGrade looks just like this, and you will see it's broken into two sections. So the first section is life skills, and there you'll see attitude, effort, character development. This is really how your child is approaching their learning and developing those skills that kind of carry the rest of learning. So under attitude, you'll see inquirer, and actually inquirer encapsulates social studies and science and problem solving, curiosity, all of those pieces together. You'll see takes initiative. That's how well they are taking initiative in their own learning. That they're reflective. That's that piece of UpGrade where they're really working with their teacher and reflecting on their own learning. It's called metacognition, is the fancy term for it. Are they resourceful? Can they look in their environment and help solve their problems? Are they using resources well? Are they open-minded? Are they a problem solver? Are they making connections? The next section is really effort. That's how are they approaching the learning? Are they responsible? Are they turning things in on time? Are they responsible with their time use? Are they a self-advocate? You know, when they miss a day or don't understand something, are they advocating for themselves with their teacher? Are they a good communicator? Are they independent in their learning? how do they approach research, and then are they good at reasoning. Character development is the next section, and there we have awareness. That's awareness of themselves and others. Are they compassionate? Are they respectful? Do they have integrity? Are they service-minded? Are they an active listener? So you'll see those pieces toward the top. And then the foundational skills are underneath. And the foundational skills are reading, writing, and mathematics. And within those foundational skills, what you're seeing here is where does your child fall, how many of the standards at each level, and remember those are developmental levels, how many of those standards have they mastered? So you can see that this student has mastered all reading skills at level A, at level B, and at level C. And then down below, you can see at level D, they have mastered 49% of those skills. It's actually higher than that. That graph didn't capture the whole thing. But they have gathered a percentage of those skills, and you can see that within the comprehension, there are still some standards that they have yet to meet. Similar in the writing, you can see that levels A through C, those standard levels, have been completely mastered. At level D, that one is truly 49%. You can see that we have some work to do in process in the mechanics, a little bit in the content and traits. And then math over on the right, again, you can see at each level how many of those standards have been completed. And then if you see an area where the student is struggling, you can actually break it down into the part of mathematics that they may be struggling with. So in this case, at level D, we're struggling with some of the algebra, some of the data analysis. So if you're interested in looking at, well, which standards are they missing at those levels? That's what the rest of the upgrade report will show you. So within the writing, you will be able to go to actually content and traits, and you'll be able to see which standards have been mastered and which standards the student is still working on. So that looks just like this. So content and traits is what we broke down. And you can see anywhere that you see blue, that is a skill that we saw mastery in through the Let's Go Learn. So it's a benchmark assessment. That means that they have mastered that assessment. It showed up on that first screening we did in the year. And then you'll see orange is where the student is still a novice. Maybe they haven't been exposed to those standards yet, or they're still working through them in new learning. And then we see the practitioner. That's the purple that we see here. And so those are standards that we're getting close to mastery on, but still need some support of a teacher. And then, of course, anything that is green is an independent skill that has already been mastered. You will see sometimes on these reports, you'll see blue or pink. The blue is really an area that the teacher has identified as a next goal for learning. And then the pink is a habit of learning. So these are things that should be happening at home in addition to what is happening in the classroom. So a lot of times it's practicing, their reading, or it's practicing math facts, things like that. So that's what that dark blue and that pink show up there as. The circles in the center show you that within all of writing, that's the percentage that have been completed. So you can see at level A, B, and C, 100% of those standards have been completed. And then at level D, obviously we're still working through some standards in this strand, but we're likely working on standards in other strands as well. So that gives you kind of an overview within the breakdown. This is our final page of UpGrade, and on this final overview, you'll actually be able to see at the end of the year all 3 trimesters represented, so you can see how your child has progressed throughout the year. The life skills are the top of the circle with the ethos and the pathos, and then the foundational skills of math, reading, and writing, and the percentage of standards mastered at each level are shown on this last page as well. So this is a good place for the end of the year. You can see one good snapshot of the entire year together. And then you have 3 additional pages at the end of your upgrade. That's actually where all of the data is being pulled from. So there's not a lot to look at for you on those pages. That's actually where teachers are entering that data. So that is a quick overview of upgrade, and we hope that it helps you understand your child's learning at a more granular level.